Hello and welcome to the video lecture series brought to you by St. Andrews Institute of Technology and Management. My name is Ravinder. I am an assistant professor with ETC department, and in this video lecture series we are discussing the subject programming for problem solving using C. And tomorrow our topic of discussion will be dynamic memory location. Okay, so let's move ahead to the slides. Now, the slides I have made today are taken by the notes or in your notes that I have already provided to you. So don't bother to download the slides; they are already in your notes. You can just refer to your notes. So let's go. Okay. So what is the basic idea? Many times we face situations where data is dynamic in nature. The amount of data cannot be predicted beforehand, and the number of data items keeps changing during the program execution. Now, in such situations, can be handled more easily and effectively using dynamic memory management techniques. So, what I'm trying to say here is that suppose you have software and suppose you have application written in C, and let's say that particular application is used in a ticketing counter, and your ticketing application is such that anyone who's going to get a ticket has you have to store his name, his phone number, okay, in your system, and only after storing the details of the particular individual you're going to issue a ticket to him, or the system is going to generate a ticket for him. Now you do not know on what particular day how many people are going to visit, let's say your fun park or maybe something else. Let's say you have designed the application for a trade fair or a fun park, so you do not going to know beforehand that on a particular day how many people are going to visit your park or trade fair. So you cannot assign a specific number of memory locations before knowing that how many people are actually going to visit. Okay, now see, such situations are actually dynamic in nature where you cannot decide in advance how much memory you're going to assign. Suppose you want to store their name and the phone number of a particular person who is or an individual who's in the line to get a ticket, and you have designed a structure for that. Now that structure actually consists of two members. One is the phone number and other one is the, let's say, name of the particular individual. But if you try to create an array of structures, then you cannot decide in advance that how many memory locations or what should be the length of the array of the structures in advance, because you will not be able to decide at any time that how many people are going to be there and what should be the exact length of the array of the structure. So let's suppose if you have allocated 100 length array of the structures for this particular task, and maybe on that particular day only 3 to 4 or maximum 10 people get your fun park or trade fair to visit, then that complete memory the compiler have allocated for your arrays of the structures is going to be a waste, going to be a huge waste. Okay, now or on a particular weekends, let's say Sunday, you have allocated only 100 memory, let's say portions, 100 memory elements for your array of structures to store the data of the individuals who are in the line to get a ticket. And on a particular Sunday, the number of people gathered around to have a ticket or to visit your particular to your fun park or trade fair, maybe let's say 150. Then at the after 100 individuals, your system will not be able to generate your ticket because it will run out of the memory. So these are some situations which are, you can call, dynamic in nature, and you cannot decide beforehand how much memory you want to allocate for a particular task. Now, as we know that in C language requires the number of elements in an array to be specified at the compile time. That is, you have to hard code that before actually compiling your application. This often leads to wastage of memory space, like in the first case where the number of people turned up for the tickets is only 10, or sometime be a application failure, because let's say the next example that I have took on a Sundays, 50 number of people, let's say 150 number of people have gathered up to have a ticket, and you have allocated the space only for 100 of them, so your application may fail at that particular time. Now that is where the dynamic memory allocation is going to be helpful. The memory space required can be, in this particular let's say technique, the memory space required can be specified at the time of the execution itself. Now C supports allocating and freeing memory dynamically using library routines, or you can say library functions. So let's continue. Now, memory allocation process in C, it consists of four main parts. First is a stack, which stores the local variables, and suppose the local variable will have a scope inside a particular function only, or inside a particular if block or some kind of loop. So those variables will be stored temporarily inside a stack, and then there will be a heap for mid application calculations and all that, for storing the temporary results of particular calculations or something else that is actually completely managed by the compiler itself. Then there will be the permanent storage area for storing the global variables and the instructions itself. Let me again remind you, global variables are the variables which have the scope on the entire application, not alone in a particular function or some conditional or iterative block. Now the program instructions and global variables are stored in a region known as permanent storage area that I have already conveyed to you. And the local variables are stored in another area called stack. The memory space between these two areas is available for dynamic allocation during execution of the program, because this free region keeps on changing in size, and we call it heap. Okay, suppose you have a very small size of global variables, or you have a very small size. Here the stack is actually stacks tend to grow up as the number of local variables tend to increase in size. Okay, so this heap could be of great use, because it is not specified for something very specific at the beginning. So there may be a possibility that this particular memory block called heap can be available for the dynamic memory allocation, or can be used at the runtime by our application. Now we have, as we have told in the first slide, that we can use the dynamic memory allocation, or we can implement the dynamic memory allocation using few of the predefined library routines or library functions. The few of them are the malloc, the calloc, the free, and the realloc. Now, malloc means memory allocation. It allocates the requested number of bytes and returns a pointer to the first byte of the allocated space. Now, we will be concerned only with malloc and free at this particular time in this particular lecture, because these two are the most important ones. So what we have done here is, let's go to the next slide. Okay, let's first define all of them. After that, we'll see malloc in detail. So malloc, as we have defined in the last slide, allocates the requested number of bytes and returns a pointer to the first byte of the allocated space. It means it will reserve a particular memory space and returns the pointer to the first memory location to you, so that you can use that particular let's say memory location as on your free will. The calloc allocates space for an array of elements and initialize them to 0, and then returns a pointer to the memory location. Now malloc and calloc has only one main difference. In the malloc, if you try to access a particular memory location for the particular block of memory location that is being assigned by the malloc, you can if you haven't done that with anything with that particular location, you may end up having a garbage value on that particular location. While in calloc, the pointer will be returned to the first memory location of the block, which we have assigned for dynamic memory location, only when all the memory locations of that block are reassigned or initializes to 0. So the possibility of getting a garbage value will not be there in case of calloc, but in case of malloc there is a possibility that a garbage value could be returned if you try to access a particular memory location inside the memory block that has been assigned by the malloc to us, malloc to the application for dynamic memory use. Now free is function is used to free the previously allocated space. Suppose you won't be, or suppose you have tried, or your system or application can calculate the maximum number it's going to use at the runtime, or in that case it would be able to actually free the remaining space which is unused, and that could be used in the heap as a heap itself. Okay, so it will again this is actually the memory management technique that we have devised here, that is not been devised, sorry. And last one is reallocate, modifies the size of the previously allocated space. So if you try again, we have so much flexibility in the dynamic implementation. If by the malloc or calloc call you have already assigned a memory block from the heap for dynamic memory use, and if you want to again try to let's say try to change the total size of that particular memory block, you can do that by using the function called realloc. Now let's get back to the malloc function. Now malloc function actually reserves a block of memory of specified size and returns a pointer of type void. Now okay, we'll see that in a while with an example itself. The return pointer can be assigned to any pointer of any general type. Now in below you can see that we have I have also provided you with an option or an example that what would be the general type of the format of declaring a particular pointer for dynamic memory location. So what we are going to do is we have to call the malloc function, and inside the malloc function we will pass an argument which will say what would be the total number of bytes you want to allocate from heap for your dynamic memory use, for dynamic memory allocation. And as you know, as we've seen in the above line, that the pointer to the first memory location will be returned, but that pointer is of type void. And if you can remember from the pointers lecture, the pointers must be declared of some type of data type. Now here the type of the pointer that is being returned is of type void. So in actuality we have flexibility to convert this pointer to any data type. So this is what we have done here. By typecasting it with a particular type of data, we can actually make that pointer of that particular type. So let's see with an example here. So here we have used the malloc function, and the total size that I have provided as an argument is the size of a single integer variable, that is usually 2. Okay, or in some compilers, your newer compilers, it has been allocated as 4, and then multiply it by 100. So total number of bytes we have taken from the heap for the use of dynamic memory location is 400 bytes of continuous memory locations. Let me again remind you, these memory locations which are being let's say taken from the heap for dynamic memory allocation use will be continuous or contiguous in manner, because we have provided the address of only, or the pointer to only, the first memory location of this particular block. Okay, so if you try to store the data in this block that has been returned by the malloc function or the dynamic memory block, then the pointer has to jump from one particular memory location to another particular memory location. So they must be continuous in order. Now the pointer that has been returned by the malloc function, I have typecasted it into an integer. Okay, so the data I am going to store to the memory location that has been pointed out by the pointer that has been returned by the malloc must be an integer now, because this particular integer which has been returned by the malloc, which is originally of type void, has now been typecasted to the integer type, as you can see here. This is an example how you can use the malloc function. This is your dynamic memory allocation in action actually. So I think we have already discussed this. Memory space equivalent to 100 times the size of a single int bytes is reserved. We have already calculated that. If we take size allocated for a single int is equal to 2, then this complete will turn out to be 200 continuous bytes of memory location. If that is 4, then it is going to be 400 continuous bytes of memory location. The address of the first byte of the allocated memory is assigned to the pointer p of type int. Okay, as I've told you before, the address of the first memory location has been assigned to this particular pointer, and it has been typecasted to integer pointer. Now malloc always allocates a block of contiguous bytes, so the allocation can fail if sufficient contiguous memory space is not available. And if it fails, then malloc returns null. Okay, as you can see, as you know, that the total size of the heap actually depends on the size of your system. Okay, because in totals, the size of the heap also has a threshold, because there are other system processes that are running in continuation simultaneously. Okay, so size of heap is fixed, or you can say is constrained. So if you passed an argument of bytes that is impractical to your system, then your malloc could be failed to allocate the continuous block of memory bytes. And if that happens, then this particular function will return null instead of a void pointer. Now, before moving on, let's see an example. I have already written an example here. So in this particular question or in particular application, what we have done is we have initialized a pointer of type float called height, and I have tried. First, I will call the user to enter the number of the students. Then the user will enter the number of students. Then what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to calculate the average height of the class, but I don't know what is the total size of the class. That is, how many number of students are there in the class. So I cannot initialize an array of which I do not know the total number of students in the particular class. So I cannot initialize the array of which size I do not know in advance. So what I have done is I have initialized a pointer called float, and then after I have assigned to height the address or the pointer to the first memory location that is been returned to me by the malloc function, and total size of that particular memory block is decided by this expression. Now if you look at this expression, the size of a single float is usually 4 bytes. Okay, so to store the height of a particular student, if we store that in a data type of float, it would require us, or the compiler would require at least 4 bytes of memory. So the total memory location that I am going to need for this particular application is the total number of students multiplied by the size required for storing the height of the student the total number of the students multiplied the memory location or the bytes required to store the height of one student only. So that could be, suppose the value of n is 10, and for float the byte is 4. In that case, this total byte will be 10 multiplied by 4, that is 40 bytes of continuous memory locations are allocated for the storing the heights of students of a class. And the pointer to the first memory location has already been passed to the height. And let me remind you, this pointer is of type float. We have typecasted it here. I think it is more than clear how we can do that. So basically, now this particular line is your dynamic memory allocation in action. And after that, we have used that for storing the height of each particular student one by one by using the for loop. That for loop will run for all the total number of students, that is n, that the user have provided to us. by using the standard scanf, that is input function. Okay, so it's clear now. Let's move ahead. Now goes to the point where we have used the memory space and now we want to release some unused memory space. When we no longer need the data stored in a block of memory, let's say at the end of the day, at your ticketing counter, now you do not need, after printing out the total list of visitors at the end of the day or at the for your use or for filing purpose, now you no longer use that particular digital data. You can erase that particular data or you can release that memory locations for the heap again by using the free function. Okay, sorry. So when we no longer need the data stored in a block of memory, we may release the block for future use. Now how we are going to do that? By using the free function. The general format is free pointer, where pointer is the pointer to a memory block. All we have to do is the pointer that has been returned by the malloc function is being passed on as an argument to the free function, and that particular complete memory block will be freed from the dynamic memory allocation use, and now it will rejoin the heap space. Okay, I think we are done now. You can skip that last two slides if you want, because I think we are done with the memory dynamic memory location. So I'm going to end this lecture now.